Hey kids, welcome back. Another episode of Let's Play EV Nova. When we last left off, I had uncovered a conspiracy within the Federation and the Moash houses, or the Moash Auroran house, and I was about to fly around the freaking universe and warn everyone what's going on. So I believe my first stop is, let's see here, no active missions. Active missions my ass. Okay. Okay, so I need to warn the wild geese. So we are all the way down there. Okay. And we can just use the hypergates. I did look at the rebel ships that became available to me, and none of them are really that big of an upgrade. There are upgrades in shield, like defense, and maybe a little bit in the weaponry, but I just, for me, I lose too much maneuverability, and I prefer maneuverability over shields and armor and stuff like that, so I'm going to stick with the Rage Gunboat for now. Greetings, Orihara, calls the savagely tattooed Eamon Flanagan as you open your hatch. Or maybe it's Eamon, I don't know. I'm just going to say Eamon. What brings you to my humble abode? You outline what you know and what your mission is as quickly as you can. He asks a number of questions regarding the veracity of the intelligence gained, which you answer as concisely as possible. After a few minutes, he seems satisfied, if slightly stunned. I was aware that the Bureau were working with the Moash house on something, he mutters quietly, but I wasn't sure it was anything this big. He turns back to you. And what are you planning to do now, Orihara? He asks intently. You reply that you are going to travel to Heron and Ramerta to talk with the warriors there regarding the coming events. I can see your plan, he nods approvingly, and it is a good one. I may be of some assistance. As you probably already know, he explains thoughtfully, I'm a warrior of the Heron House. If I were to travel with you, you would not have to deal with young warriors challenging you just to be allowed to step foot on their planet. They would also be more likely to listen to what you had to say if I were to back you. You nod, saying that you are more than happy to have him along to help out in any way, especially if it would speed things up. You ask if he has any advice about dealing with the Rameritans. They call themselves Dechtakars, he answers almost reverently, which translates roughly as, we who sacrifice ourselves for the highest cause. They are loyal to the First Family, but their honor is beyond question, and yes, I can help with them. As a fellow Roran warrior of many battles who has fought alongside them on many occasions, my word carries some weight. I need a couple of hours to organize my men, he decides finally. Meet me in the bar and I will journey with you. You see Eamon Flanagan enter the bar, just about filling the doorway with his muscular frame. You down the rest of your drink in a single swallow before getting up and heading back to your ship with him. On the way, he tells you that he will have to do most of the talking when they first land, and will continue to do the talking until he has introduced you to the house elders. Once that has been taken care of, the elders will then listen to whatever you have to say, not only with the weight they would give to words spoken by Flanagan, but also with the added weight of the respect they have for you. And don't think that last point is negligible, Eamon wags his finger. I've been following your career as closely as I can with the resources that I have, and I have mentioned you more than once to them. They know, as I do, that you are perhaps the most widely traveled person in the galaxy, and one of the most skilled pilots around. Ah. Of course, he continues, you aren't an Auroran warrior, which is a count against you, but the Heron Elders are more open-minded than most, and they realize that most Auroran warriors couldn't even hope to have done half the things you have. The real test will be when we see the Ramertans, he muses thoughtfully as you reach your ship. They like to keep themselves above what they think of as petty squabbles between the house. If they think that you are here representing the Heron House, they won't even see you. I must admit that having me alongside you won't help much with that. Unfortunately, he muses sardonically, unless you are a warrior or have been introduced by a warrior, they would probably ignore you anyway. To them, their lot is to fight and die with absolute honor. In many ways, they are the essence of being an Auroran warrior, but dealing with them can be tricky. Okay. Where are we going? Okay, so we're going to Heron. And is there a hypergate there? There is. Okay. A lot of talk, not enough killing. Hypergate. Whoops. Alright. Hop on a skip and a jump, and I'm here. Eamon steps out first and greets the awaiting warriors in a friendly manner. They quickly realize that you are under his protection. They put their weapons away and ignore you. Eamon leads you up a long staircase. After climbing 20 floors, it opens up onto the top floor of the arcology. Seated in leather seats surrounding a large circular table are about 20 elderly warriors with many faded tattoos. Eamon Flanagan walks to a space in their table, formally introduces you, and informs them that you wish to speak with him. The oldest warrior at the table inclines his head and indicates that you should begin. You explain the events of the recent months and explain that the Bureau is planning to do in Concord, or what the Bureau is planning to do in Concord with the Moash House. Many of these hard old men narrow their eyes when you tell them of the actions of their rival house. So you want us to allow Federation scum into our space to protect them from this Bureau? Asks one of the elderly after you finish. Why should we do this? Good question. You explain that if they do not, then the Heron House will in all likelihood be destroyed. If they do decide to go along with the plan, they will have extra ships to bolster their defense in the coming battles. The eldest warrior turns to Eamon, asking, "Don't you have blood oath against Rakzak?" To which Eamon nods. "Then how can you fight beside him?" "By imagining his reaction when he realizes that I have been the one who rescued him a second time," he replies, receiving approved chuckles from around the table. The eldest warrior nods slowly and turns back to you. "We will do this thing you ask," he decides with finality, "for I cannot stand to let any house bring about the ruin of everything we have fought and died for. Orihara, I believe that many songs will be sung about the coming days, and I will make sure that you are mentioned." He then dismisses you with a wave of his hand. Eamon quickly moves to your side. "I want to see a few people," he says quietly. "Meet me in the bar in an hour." Okay. I'm also going to see if I can find any neat little toys here, which I can't. "You did well in there," says Eamon when he arrives just over an hour later. "You were concise and to the point. You also didn't try to gloss over the difficulties. You have gained their respect and their thanks for your message. That little speech he made about making sure your name is in any songs isn't an idle statement. It is probably the highest compliment one warrior will pay to another." You raise your eyebrows in surprise. "So what is your real name anyway?" he asks you with a sardonic grin. You realize that you will have to tell someone, otherwise only your codename will be immortalized in song. You have to laugh at his attempt to discover your true identity. After realizing that you have no intention of revealing your real name, he laughs alongside you. "The more time I spend with you," Eamon chuckles, "the more I like you. I've never met anyone who can say so much by saying so little. I wish I had your gift with words sometimes." You snort derisively as you set about preparing your ship for a takeoff. He laughs. "Huh. I snorted. Okay. I can see why Frandl used you on me," he comments, laughing. "You and he come from a similar mold. But then it's not surprising you take after him. After all, he is your supervisor. You manage to stop the surprise you feel from reaching your face. Or wait. Okay, whatever. Frandl, your supervisor? The more you think about it, the more it makes sense. Nobody has ever seen Frandl, nobody knows his name, and yet GF Frandl seems to have the ability to set his own missions for his own operatives. He can also disappear at any time to take care of things, and has the pulling power to get General Smart to pass on messages for him. You vow to have a few words with your supervisor when you report back in." Okay. Now I'm going to the Dechakar, or whatever they're called. Alright. Let's go. Man, those Auroran carriers look so cool. It looks like a aircraft carrier. Alright. I don't know if I can cross that way. Alright, we're going to take the long way around. Is that going to be able to take me there? Kind of. Why not? Alright. Maybe in the meantime I'll be able to kill some pirates. Like... no. Alright. You let Eamon off first, again to deal with the waiting warriors. With no small show of disappointment, they sheath their weapons and let you pass. Once again, Eamon leads you up a staircase to the upper level of the arcology to a room where 10 elderly warriors sit in council. He walks over and introduces you formally, indicating that you wish to speak with them. The ancient warrior at the head of the table tells you kindly that you may begin. You begin telling of the events that have led up to you standing before them, leaving out the names of all the Auroran houses involved so as not to prejudice them in any way. You explain what you believe is going to happen, and you ask them to keep their eyes open to watch for any cowardly actions undertaken by any house. "Why do you wish to involve us in this matter?" asks one of the warriors. "How will that help you in your cause to fight against this bureau?" You reply saying the rebels are worried that the Auroran counterattacks, however justified they may be, will further muddy an already messy situation. You also explain that because an Auroran house is involved, a civil war might result, and you do not want to give the Bureau any chance to explain their influence further. Your leaders want to cause as much damage to the Bureau as possible. "So all you want from us is that we be present in or around Heron Space in the next few weeks?" asked the ancient warrior heading the table, and you nod in confirmation. He closes his eyes in thought for a moment before reaching a decision. "We will do what you ask," he announced quietly. "You are not dragging us into a squabble between houses as I initially feared. We thank you for your information. With it, we may stop our enemies from destroying the Empire. We are in your debt." He dismisses you with a wave of his hand. Eamon gives you the thumbs up as you leave and informs you that he will meet you in the bar in an hour. Alright. Do I get to kill people yet? You see Eamon enter within 30 seconds of the house he specified. Excuse me, at the hour he specified. You wave to attract his attention and he comes over. "I had to go and see some of my battle brothers," he explains. "Men who I hold closer to my heart than any family in this universe. I could not have passed up the opportunity to drop in, as I do not get to meet them very often." You nod understandingly, saying that you would have done the same. "Well, it seems as though everything is ready," he says with a smile. "The Bureau will fall into our trap, eh?" You smile thinly, saying that you hope so. "Why so glum?" he asks cheerfully. "You have done all you can. Nothing more can be expected of you. Why do you look so down?" You reply that the events that are coming are too enormous to predict outcomes for. You add that you do not like what you see if anything goes wrong. "You underestimate the abilities of the people you are working with," he says quietly. "Now that we are forewarned and forearmed, the Federation and the Bureau will be hard-pressed to salvage a bloody draw out of the coming battles. Wait and see." You down your drink in one long swallow before standing up, indicating you are ready to go. "Yes," rumbles Eamon with a small smile. "It is time to head home to ready ourselves for war. I need to return to New Ireland, and you need to return to whatever rebel base to report in, I would imagine." The two of you make your way back to your beloved FU, where he helps you to go through your pre-flight routine. Okay. Now I have to take him back to New Ireland. Okay.